Hello, my name is Gavin Gegan, and I'll be doing my final for my Communications 101 class, where I'll be talking about the 11 terms and concepts I have learned, and during while I read the communication text, and also be talking about the 11 things that I love about myself, and why. So to start off with, I'll be talking about Chapter 1, Appreciating and Understanding Human Communication, mainly the concept of communication misconceptions. So at one point or another, I have believed in many of these misconceptions. Mainly, the communication solves all conflict. Communication does not solve all conflict, but it does help identify some of the problems that may be happening in the relationship. And too much communication can also make the situation worse because maybe the other person doesn't want to communicate and just wants to be left alone. So, for example, if I constantly tell myself to study more for a test and not take any action towards actually completing that goal, then I am still where I'm started. Not even closer to accomplishing the goal that I set out to accomplish. Chapter 2, Perception. The term I was talking about is attention. So I am bombarded with stimuli every day, and I have decided which stimuli I have to pay attention to. So throughout the later part of the semester, I have decided to pay attention more to my surroundings while I walk to school. And I did this by not listening to my music every single time I walk to class. So the first time I did this, I noticed the various things that were happening, like the chirping birds, the sounds of bicycle wheels on the pavement, and the sometimes peaceful silence of just walking towards class with like little to no sounds going on. And it was a very enjoyable experience that I will hopefully try again during the summer. Chapter 3, Effective Listening. The term pseudo-listening, and every now and then during class, I will become so disinterested in certain topics that I will just space out and not pay attention. So it's obviously one thing that I need to fix because I will not learn much by doing these kinds of things during class, even if the topics are boring, because I'm going to have to deal with boring topics I don't find interesting. So I need to find a way to help stop myself from falling into this sort of trance. And one way I've done it was by taking notes during class, and that helps me by not falling into a trance and helps me pay attention more to the content and helps me become more interested in the topic at hand. So for Chapter 5, Nonverbal Communication, the concept of nonverbal communication. So I learned more about nonverbal communication and how it can modify verbal communication. So, for example, when I point in the direction of an open parking spot, instead of just saying over there, I usually would point and say like over there, and it helps modify the verbal communication to emphasize like where the parking spot is, because over there is a pretty broad term, and it's not really specific. But if I put my finger out somewhere in the direction, they would know like, oh, over there in that direction. So that's how nonverbal communication can help modify verbal communication. For Chapter 6, Understanding Interpersonal Communication, I decided to talk about the natural relational development and dissolution model. And the model helped me see how increasing and decreasing levels of intimacy can impact the way relationships succeed or fail. By applying the model to some of my relationships, I saw that the majority of them are between the integrating and the bonding stages, and none of my relationships are in the differentiating or any of the lower stages, which is a good thing. For Chapter 7, Practicing Effective Interpersonal Communication, the term confirming messages, essentially messages that value the partner's presence and their contributions. So this is something that I need to practice on because whenever I am in a conversation with someone, I usually don't look at them directly. I usually don't I don't like to share a whole lot when I talk. I just like to nod or just agree with them and just be done with it. But I feel like that they don't feel like what they say is being heard because they feel like I am not giving them the attention that they were looking for. So if I practice doing these, then the person will feel more valued in the relationship rather than not feeling anything at all and just feeling like they wasted their time talking to somebody that just agreed and had nothing else to add to the communication part. For Chapter 8, Public Speaking, I want to talk about the process of public speaking. So when I was preparing for my TED Talk, I used the model of speech preparation to help me get started on the various topics that I needed to cover. My biggest obstacle was practicing my speech because I could not find the time to do all my other classes' homework while also trying to practice my speech. And it was very apparent when I did my speech in front of the 3 volunteers and in front of the class. I had made like numerous mistakes that I caught myself on, and I applied the same model to the final speech that I did, and I made sure that I practiced more than I did on my TED Talk, and I think it definitely helped when I did my final speech. For Chapter 9, Organization, Supporting Material, Delivery, and Visual Aids. So I want to talk about the concept of oral citations. So I never had to use oral citations when I was in high school, so I had a hard time understanding why we had to use them or why they're important at all. But as I watched people do their speeches and they use their oral citations, it made me wonder, it made me think like, oh, maybe these people do know what they're talking about. Like, I obviously don't know if these sources they're using are credible or not, but it made me think that, oh, maybe these people actually know something that I don't know. Maybe they have something worthwhile to say, rather than if they did not say it. And I would wonder if their stuff was incredible or not. For Chapter 10, Informative Speaking, I want to focus on the informative speech part. So I learned that informative speeches are meant to inform the audiences and not try to change their views or their beliefs on certain topics, but rather just to inform them on certain topics. And I also learned that being good at informative speeches will be a valuable thing in my future because I want to become a physical therapist, and I probably will have to convey or present information to my other colleagues. And if I become good at doing informative speeches now, then it'll help me in the future when I present future information to people wherever that may be. Excuse me. For Chapter 11, Persuasive Speaking, and I want to talk about persuasion and the general idea of public speaking. So about how it tries to inform. Excuse me. Let me start. So persuasive speaking is basically trying to convince the audience to take action into something that you're talking about. So, for example, for our final speech, we did the Idaho Food Bank, and our main idea was to inform the class about hunger in Idaho and provide them with several different options that they could use to help end hunger in Idaho, which was they could either volunteer or donate their unwanted foods to the local Idaho Food Bank. And it was also an enjoyable experience to get everything together and actually present it to the class, because I felt that we were actually doing something to help better the community at large. So now that I'm done talking about the 11 terms and concepts, I'd like to talk about the 11 things that I love about myself and why. So the first one, I love my tall height, and I love that because I'm able to reach things that my parents and siblings can't reach, like on the very top shelves. And it also helps me in various sports situations, like in soccer and basketball, when I have to use my height as an advantage. Second, I love my ability to understand anybody, and I think I like this about myself. I love this about myself because I don't jump to conclusions about somebody just because they say something I don't disagree with. I try to understand why they would believe in such things, or why they would say something, or why would they act that way. I wouldn't jump to conclusions about somebody because I would think that it would make me a worse person by doing something like that. Number 3, I love my willingness to accomplish any work that I have, and this would mainly focus on the schoolwork part, because usually I would sometimes feel like did not do a good enough job on a test or homework assignment, so I would spend my certain amount of time studying and trying to better myself in these for future assignments and tests, so I don't feel like I did not do a good job. Like if I put my mind to what I want to, I can accomplish whatever I want to accomplish. Number 4, I love my honesty in certain situations, and I love this about myself because honesty is a good thing, especially when you feel like the person may or may be doing something that could end up hurting themselves or hurting their lives down the future, and a little honesty can go a long way. Number 5, I love my open mind and willingness to listen to new ideas. And I like this because obviously I don't know everything that goes around in the world. So being open to new ideas and new things can help me potentially learn something new that I didn't know about. Number 6, I love my open taste in music. So I basically like everything in music. I'm willing to listen to basically anything, and since there is like a lot of really good music out there, I don't know what it is. So being open to it makes me happy to know that I found good music that I really wouldn't consider listening to before. Number 7, I love how I can trust my classmates and not be suspicious of what they do. So just being able to know that I put my trust in them to do the things that well, not classmates, group members, sorry. And I like this, I love this about myself because I am able to trust them that they can do the work that we assign them to do without without texting them or calling them saying like if they got the assignment done or not. I think it helps build a strong relationship between us as group members. Number 8, I love my ability to take criticism, and I love this about myself because instead of taking offense to criticism, like during speeches or whatever, I am able to actually build up on it and actually try to fix what I did wrong in my speech. Number 9, I love my work ethic outside of school. So basically applies to like when I go to work, I'm willing to stay afterward until everything is done. I'm willing to go the extra effort and clean the floors and do whatever my boss needs me to do instead of just sitting around and doing nothing. Number 10, I love how I can make the best out of a bad situation. So even if something bad does happen, I'm able to pull myself up, and I'm able to make the best out of it without stressing over it too much and having it ruining the rest of my day or my week or something like that. And number 11, I love how I can learn quickly. I love how I can be taught a topic and a couple days later feel like I have the general idea of it where I can be tested on it and remember crucial information about said topic. And that is it. Thank you for listening to my final.